All right, so we got to talk about this. Y'all know I am in Los Angeles, California, but I have to say, I am not a sports fan. Look, your girl is not a sports fan. I do not really watch sports. I don't care about sports. However, I got my teams, okay? And anything that comes out of New York City is cool with me. So to be honest with you, I don't even like the Dodgers. All right, listen, I'm from New York. It's all about the Yankees, okay? I'm not even a Mets fan. I'm the Yankees. And because I am the Yankees, you know, I don't do no Dodgers. Like, I ain't never been to a Dodger game. I don't even like Dodger Stadium. I don't go near it. I don't like it, whatever, right? But listen, what all happened out here in Los Angeles with these Dodgers is absolutely disgusting. And we're going to talk about that because it is a larger conversation about the church and Christianity in general being under attack and being okay to be mocked. Now, I've been saying this as of late. Society is really weird about religion. If you talk about Judaism and you have anything bad to say about Judaism, you are automatically an anti-Semite. If you say anything bad about Islam, honey, they gonna cut your head off. Okay, you can't talk about nothing bad about Islam. They gonna cut your head off. Me just saying that right there, they might try to come find me. Okay, I'm scared for my life right now. But if you say anything wayward about Christianity in today's culture, it's totally okay. Like, no one has anything to say. It's like, clap your hands. Let's give them a round of applause. You don't like Christianity. You're making it known to everybody. And society doesn't seem to push back when we make fun of Christ, when we make fun of the Blessed Mother, when we make fun of specific Catholic imagery and what we're all about, our rituals and the like. So what I have to say about today is I want to go ahead and take a look at the story that was put out by the National Catholic Register. How do you address society as Catholics? How do we start to take a stand about our faith? How do we take a stand to say that it is not okay to make fun of what we believe? And I think it's high time we need to start doing that in our society that is moving further and further away from faith and God. Listen, I always say to folks, I'm not here to convert you. Conversion is on your heart. You have to be open to it. But if you ask me about my faith, I'm always going to be completely open. I feel like my platform here allows me to live in our confirmation promise of evangelizing the world and living an example of what God has for all of humanity and how beautiful that can be. But I'm not here to convert you. At the same time, I do expect respect. I do expect you to treat me like a human being and be respectful of my beliefs. And making fun of my faith is absolutely a line that no one should ever cross. And we need to start standing up about that, just like the folks who in Islam, just like the folks in Judaism do, and not back down when this kind of stuff happens. So let's get into this article to find out what's going on in Los Angeles. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what y'all doing out there. Okay. Y'all know I always say the word y'all. I don't know what y'all doing in LA, but you need to get it together. Let's go ahead into this article with the National Catholic Register. Dodgers debacle calls for a more vocal Catholic citizenry. Catholics have a spiritual duty to promote truth and orient themselves towards God, not the whims of man. If I can say anything about Catholic culture in Los Angeles, California, I am not surprised that this is happening because our culture out here is really rooted in progressiveness, in the world, and not what the Catholic Church stands for. In his influential prose work, The Captive Mind, a reflection on the mental contortions required to live and work in the Stalinist People's Republic of Eastern Europe, Polish Nobel Prize winner and dissident Czesław Miłosz details the concept of hetman, the act of outwardly supporting the regime while harboring internal opposition. Professionals seeking to earn a living, and particularly relevant in Catholic Poland, people of faith seeking truth despite official proscription of religion. In the United States, where Miłosz spent much of his life in exile, Catholics can increasingly recognize hetman in their own lives. Churches are vandalized and pro-life advocates are legally harassed, but most remain silent and hope to, quote unquote, go along to get along. I cannot stress how much I see that happening here in Catholic culture when it comes to Los Angeles. I recently had a very unpleasant experience in my own church with a woman who demanded that I remove my veil from my head. And as I was sharing the story that happened with someone who is in the parish, who's kind of an acquaintance of mine, their response was, oh, you shouldn't see it as a big deal. Just turn the other cheek. Don't get upset about it. This is the most detrimental advice that has been given to us over the years as Catholics, and this is why people do not respect us. A recent episode in Professional Baseball, of all things, revealed much about the position of Catholics in American society's identity, caste system, and the impunity with which they can be disparaged. The Los Angeles Dodgers announced they would disinvite, then reinvite, the activist group Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence from the team's planned LGBTQ plus Pride Night after certain Catholic figures, including Senator Marco Rubio, objected to the team's plans to honor the group with a Community Hero Award. Non-Catholic figures inevitably objected to the objection. Of course they did, because we can make fun of Catholics all we want, but no one is supposed to oppose that, right? It's totally okay. Let's continue. The activist group's members don gaudy nun drag costumes and assume names like Sister Selma Soul and Sister Garden of Pansies in a thinly veiled mockery of Catholic social teaching. You heard that right. Men in drag, dressed as nuns, mocking our faith. Past activities have included Hunky Jesus and Foxy Mary costume contests and sexually explicit twerking Jesus performances. If any group were to present a twerking Muhammad performance, do you know the epic meltdown that would happen not only in the city or the state or the country, but the entire world? It would be pandemonium. Yet it's okay for them to do this with mocking Christ. Where are our backbones, Christians? Where is our spine? Why aren't we standing up? Let's go ahead and get back into it. The group's jeering motto is go forth and sin some more. Case closed. Just another culture war squabble might have been the takeaway for many familiar with the story. Indeed, that is the conclusion leading societal voices wanted onlookers to reach. The unrepentant Dodgers dismissed the episode as, quote unquote, the source of some controversy and avoided anything resembling an apology. So basically, they are allowed to do this. No one in the city, no one in the state is going to say anything because they're the Dodgers and they get to mock Catholicism all they want, and there are absolutely no consequences. This is the world that we're in right now. So much for tolerance, so much for acceptance, so much for loving people for who they are, except if you're Catholic, of course. ESPN sported the homepage headline, LGBTQIA plus group disinvited from LAD Pride Night, and minimized the controversy as opposition from conservative Catholic groups. The article offers a glowing history of the non-impersonators and highlights their publicly reported mission of promoting human rights, respect for diversity, and spiritual enlightenment, among other unquestioned, uninvestigated banalities. CBS News blamed a conservative backlash for the outcome, and a Los Angeles Times columnist lamented the supposed attempt to pacify religious and political extremists and drew a shameless Jackie Robinson comparison. Because anytime we talk about identity and we want to pacify something, of course, we got to throw race into it, right? That's exactly how it always works. This dismissive approach, diametrically opposed to society's usually hypersensitive identity complex, was remarkably bold enough, apparently, that the Dodgers reversed their decision a second time, apologized to the activists, and re-invited them. In the statement, they applauded the group's unspecified life-saving work. It's absolutely crazy that they say that because the Catholic Church, as we know, for much of human history has been the most charitable organization on this planet. From having orphanages to hospitals to schools and more, to diminish what the church has done in order to praise a group that mocks that church is a complete slap in the face. And it's the time for all of us to take a step back and to look and to know that we have power in our purse to change things. And sometimes that's what it's going to take. In the face of such forces, then, Kettman is a powerful tool for societal self-preservation preservation. Most Americans, Catholic and non-Catholic alike, don't generally believe a costume-clad anti-Catholic activist group is worthy of celebration and a community hero distinction. Certainly, at least some members of the Dodgers marketing staff don't believe it. Even some Democratic politicians probably don't. Yet, as a society retreats further into dystopian truth-denying madness, it is safer to bow one's head and remain silent. Corporations and their associated activists are confident they can count on this passivity. And that's so much at the root of all this stuff. The fact that we are so willing to just be quiet about this, to not make a whole lot of noise, to not really rock the boat. Again, turning the other cheek as Catholics, because that's what Jesus taught us. What would Jesus do? No, Jesus would be out there flipping tables, whipping, telling y'all to get on out of here with all of his shenanigans, offending his Father's house. And the world right now is everything. This is God's entire temple. This is God's house. Why are we not out there doing something? And although you may not be in Los Angeles and be able to stand up in solidarity to do something here, what can you do in your own communities? What can you do when you see microaggressions against you personally? Let this conversation embolden you to stand up for what we believe, especially if you are on the road to faith and you want to see us thrive as a community, as a people together in Christ. We cannot afford to sit back and to let stuff like this happen. Catholics, comprising about 1/5 of the American population, are well positioned to engage in the sort of concentrated economic behavior that would draw notice. If the recent Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light saga and the rise of platforms like Public Square offer any indication, the appetite for such behavior is growing. More importantly, Catholics have a spiritual duty to promote truth and orient themselves towards God, not the winds of man. Here too exists reason for optimism. It is true that Americans do not currently endure the oppression of either the Stalinist or late Soviet era in Eastern Europe. It is also true that society is likely to get worse before it gets better. The timeliness and ferocity of resistance to societal groupthink will do much to determine America's trajectory, and Catholics have both an opportunity and a responsibility to occupy a role in that resistance. As the Dodgers controversy entered the headlines, the Catholic Church commemorated the birthday of another Pole and witness to godless regimes bent on societal reconstruction. Pope St. John Paul II, who was fond of exhorting the faithful to be not afraid. May current events serve as a wake-up call to heed these words. So powerful. That is your call to arms right there. And it's needed more than ever before right now. But what are your thoughts? Were you shocked when you heard this? Were you just kind of like, it's the order of the day. It is what it is. Do you think that organizations such as the Dodgers supporting a group like this, they're so anti-Catholic, so anti-Christian, do you think that was right? Or do you think it's just not a big deal? What are your thoughts? Go ahead and post it below. I'd like to hear what you have to say. We've been talking about controversial topics here on the channel. I did a video about what's going on with the German bishops and the whole thing with the blessings of marriages, same-sex marriages. And if you haven't heard about that controversy, honey, go ahead and watch this next video right over here where I talk about that, because I think that this is another issue in the church that we're facing that needs a lot of attention. Go ahead and check it out, and I'll see you over there.